Are you ready now? Turn it up.
Oh, what's up?
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. We're getting going here. The internet is deciding to have its little attitude. So,
There we go.
that's all right. No worries there. Happy Thursday.
Of course, happy Thursday.
Welcome to
High Tea with Kim and Alyssa.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, as y'all will see briefly in a moment, we have a third body in this studio. I'd like to proudly introduce the better half of me, the yin, not the yin to my yin, because that's you, but the peanut butter to my jelly. It is my husband, Mr. Clint
Such
Mote.
Such an honor
Yes.
to be the peanut butter.
Yes, we're excited. This was
We
an
are.
impromptu situation.
Yeah.
We're not mad about it.
No.
We've warned him. Don't worry, people. We have
He knows what he's in for.
He says he is. Oh, hold on. Oh.
Alyssa.
I know.
Get
All
your
the
stuff under
things.
control
Look,
over there.
I got here early and I'm still working on it. Okay.
Frazzled.
So before we start our super fabulous topic, Kim, please tell us what is in our teacups.
Oh my gosh. So I love all things Vikings. It's very
I love it.
weird. Like I love the show. I love the lore. It's just fun for me. So I found this tea company called Valhalla Tea.
I love it.
So I ordered some tea and she came in this fun little skull. I'm gonna hold it up over Clint's
Oh my
head.
gosh. It's the cutest.
It's a glass skull and it's full of loose leaf tea and it's called Goddess of War.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
yes.
a cinnamon lavender vanilla.
Yep. And you said cinnamon, and I can instantly see Clint's body reclusing.
No, no cinnamon for you?
Anti-cinnamon.
Cinnamon's
Not
in like
even
everything.
in the whiskey. Like
No Fireball, no
good.
Smart. Good for
Throw it
you.
out.
Oh my gosh. Clint, I'm gonna need you to, because you already don't project.
You gotta talk.
You gotta
into the
talk into
microphone.
it. You
Is
gotta
that
make
better?
love
There you
to
go.
the sweet microphone.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Oh God, he might have a new profession, y'all. Okay, so I've tasted this tea, and I'm telling you guys, this is like every holiday.
It's so yummy.
Oh, it's so good, and it's not sugared. It's not creamed. It is
Just
delicious.
Plain. It's so good.
What's the cinnamon holiday? Just so I know not to celebrate that one. Going
All
forward.
of them. So
Fall and Christmas.
We already talked
everything.
about that. There's no cinnamon in my Christmas.
There-
so
This guy hates
peppermint,
cinnamon.
Other,
He swears it
things,
gives
but-
him mouth sores, and I'm like, no, it's not a thing.
I mean, is
maybe.
it like a thing with like people with like cilantro? How like some of them think it like says.
Oh,
I
that's
love it.
That's like an allergy thing for real.
Is
like,
it really? It's an
yeah.
allergy?
It's a genetic
Yeah.
thing. So like, yeah, Brandon thinks that it tastes like soap. Both boys
Yeah.
think it tastes like soap, and I love it.
See, it's people are
I
usually
can't-
one or the other. It
Yeah.
either tastes good and you
And
love
there's
it,
really
or it's
you're
like,
really not
that's
either.
nasty.
You're
It
not
tastes like
indifferent
black
to it. You
licorice.
either hate it or
Yeah.
you love it. Oh, see now I like black licorice too.
Oh, see, I can't get on that. I cannot get on black licorice.
I like it.
My grandpa
Um,
loved that stuff, and my brother.
So we guys, anybody watching, tell me what's in your cup.
Yeah,
we need to
of
know.
course. We always need to know what's
We
in
need
your
to be
cup.
jealous. Maybe you need to be jealous of what's in our cups.
Don't
So-
be jealous of this. This
Clint's
Clint
got a
and his
whole ass cup of water.
Viking
water.
water right here.
Viking.
Viking water. Which I feel like Viking water, has like lots of vodka in it or something like. I
No,
imagine
they drink ale
ale.
out of horns.
Mead and yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be out of a horn.
I'm like, look, I can school you.
Yeah, one of those. What is the circle helmet with the horn? What is it called? Like their helmets. You know what I mean?
That's not the Viking thing.
Oh, fine. Look at me not knowing my crap.
helmet.
I don't know. It's those cast iron circle things with the hooks hanging.
Those are just their helmets,
Their
but they
helmets.
don't wear those in battle.
Fine. What do? Wear it for their wifeys?
No,
like, hey,
That is not a thing.
Dang it. Fine. I'll go back and watch Game of Thrones.
That's not Viking.
Shit. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I didn't mean to
Okay,
cuss.
on Netflix, watch Vikings.
Now, my sister did say she's watching it. She said it is really good. There's some.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I
that
enjoyed
makes
it.
sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense.
We'll have to
Okay.
educate ourselves on Vikings then.
Oh, well,
Well, you.
fancy saying the word educate. What are we
Educate.
talking about tonight?
We are
Oh.
talking about homeschooling.
Such a big topic.
It is. And I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because daily I'm seeing posts on Facebook about people pulling their kids out of public school or wanting to pull their kids out of public school at the, end of the year and want to get into homeschooling, and they have a ton of questions.
Oh,
And so I thought, it could be something good because we both homeschool.
yeah, and we've both public schooled
We
as
have.
well.
Yes.
Boo.
Um,
Oh, sorry.
and just for you guys listening, Clint has kind of experienced, well, he obviously through me has experienced the homeschooling things that we deal with at home. He's dealt with all of our personal public school things. And then he himself has when he was in school back in the 1900s.
Back in the Viking days.
Nice.
Oh God, I see a theme here. Oh gosh. He actually chose to go to Burleson's alternative school
Where they did not wear helmets.
where they did
the
not wear
special
helmets. You couldn't drink your ale. And they were able to untuck their shirt, and it was but back in the 1900s, it was the shame school, even though it really wasn't. But
Well, so it had the Omega school there at
Yeah.
it, so it did have the disciplinary side of it, but it
Yeah.
wasn't the
Okay.
whole thing. So
if
It
you
did get kind of a
chose to
bad
go
rap.
there, you were included in the
You got lumped in with the
less-
you're
Yeah, that's what
a
everybody
bad
thought.
kid
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you go to that
the
school.
pregnant girls.
That's
Yeah.
what we
The
called ours
druggies.
because I went to high school in Arlington, and so we called ours that's the pregnant girl school.
Yeah.
'Cause if the girl got pregnant, that's where she went. She went
which
to
is
that
so
high school
unfortunate. It's so
because there was a
unfortunate.
daycare and stuff there at the school.
Yes,
So
yes.
that was just what we called it. That's the
we had the
pregnant
same
girl
thing.
school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So he chose to go to that school. So he's kind of gotten a vast experience of all the
Okay.
things. So let's start off.
Okay.
Let's
So I see one thing that I see a lot of is secular versus Christian homeschooling.
Oh, okay, yes.
So for those of you who don't know what secular is, it's non-Christian versus
Yes.
Christian homeschooling. And a lot of people are like, we're religious, but I don't want to do it in my teachings,
Mhm.
which is kind of how I felt. Like that's what Sunday school and stuff is for. That's
Sure.
not for math and language arts and stuff like that. So it took us a while to kind of figure out how and where we wanted to go with it.
Yeah. Because
So
not every family, like they're across the spectrum. You've got your families that do not want God in school. They don't want any of that. But then you've got, the other side that they really want a lot of the principles to be based on biblical studies.
right. And
So-
there's no wrong way to do it.
There's no wrong way. And you know what? Before I will tell you that, and I'm kind of glad because now that I'm thinking this through, when we first started this whole idea of homeschooling,
Mhm.
I was very much like, well, how do they get graded? And, proper assignments and testing. Yes.
I have that written
Girl,
down.
I was like so
dug
stressed
in.
out.
Mhm.
And he sent me a YouTube video of this lady that taught you how to, like, she gave this whole 30-minute talk about how to, like, unravel your public school mind.
So basically, you have to like de-school yourself.
That's
because
exactly what it
Right.
was. Yes.
So for us, homeschooling takes around about an hour and a half for my youngest, who's 6 and doing first grade.
Yeah.
My oldest is in 5th. It can take him anywhere from an hour and a half, 2 hours, some days 3 if we're struggling,
Sure.
but then we're done for the
Yeah.
day. Like it's not an all day
Yeah.
thing.
Not 8 hours.
No, and that's
I
where I
know.
was
Oh
having
my
my
gosh.
problem. And I was like,
Yes.
we're not doing enough.
Yes.
Is what you're going to think. But then
Yes.
you also have to think there's not 25 other kids here that I'm
Yeah.
having to constantly be on and they're being distracted by
Yes.
and things like that. So you have to like de-school yourself into the way of public school thinking.
Right.
So that's where I struggled a bit at first. I was like, okay, because we did kindergarten before he went to public school for a little while. And like kindergarten, we're like, okay, we're doing shapes and letters and,
Yeah.
we're learning the phonics and we're done in half an hour. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing right.
It's crazy. That's one of the hardest things that we ran into that kind of kept repeating itself over and over was that unwinding, that unscheduling, kind of taking your mindset out of the 8-hour, 10-hour day or whatever you want to
Absolutely.
apply. There is like, you got to break away from that
Are we
mindset.
strobing? Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
the lights
it-
are kind of blinking.
I was
Are
like,
they?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, dance party.
But yeah,
Oh,
that
sorry.
that was a really kind of repetitive thing that kept
Mhm.
coming up was, hey, you've got to, the first 6 months or whatever is really just kind of digressing out of that daily
grind almost
thing
Yes.
of it.
being
Yeah.
stuck in programmed to a schedule
And having
Yeah.
and
and
thinking that you're failing because it's not taking you 8
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
and then that whole mindset of, okay, if I do homeschool, then I've got to do 1 hour of math, 1 hour
Mhm.
of social studies.
Yeah.
And you're like
Absolutely
sitting there
not.
going, I've got to fill up that 8-hour day.
Yeah.
And once you find out that all these programs, it's not even like that
It's
at
not.
all.
Mm-mm.
And that was mind blowing for me. I had a really hard time grasping that. Of course, now I like cling to it like freaking static. It's ridiculous. It's insane. Okay, so what would you say are, let's talk about homeschooling pros.
Okay. So, well, pro for me, you know, my husband does shift work. So
Mhm.
we are able to do vacation when he can take vacation. He may not be able to
Yes.
take a summer vacation. We might have to take a fall vacation.
Yes.
Right.
So we're able to work around that. And we do a 4-day, go ahead and tear your paper out.
Sorry. Sorry.
We do a 4-day school week, but we do Sunday to Wednesday because that's usually when my husband's at work and we can they can have the weekend, his weekend, to hang out with him instead
Wow,
of us
so a
doing
flexible
school.
schedule.
Yes. So
Nice.
it's flexible, you know, and we're able to
I'm passing a note in class. Sorry.
I'm telling the teacher.
Put my name on the board.
I'm trying to get back on my train of thought. I
Sorry,
totally
I'm
lost-
so
You're
sorry.
talking
I'm
about
so
your
sorry.
schedule and-
Hang on.
Oh, flexibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just about finding how it works with you. That was the biggest pro
Yes.
for me
Yes.
Yeah.
because back when my oldest was in first grade, we were going on vacation over Christmas break, but we needed to leave a couple of days early.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm taking him out of school. Like, mark
Yeah.
maps and I don't care.
Yeah.
That was always me. Like, people were like, oh, well, we can't. The kids have school. And I'm like,
I know
So?
I swear
So they're
I
not
feel
going
like
to go for a couple of days.
yeah, they're not.
we
gonna
I
go
feel
for
like we live in
days.
fear of that whole truancy. Like
Yeah.
the fear.
And that's a big thing. Or people are like, can they come after me for truancy in
Yeah.
homeschool? And I was like, no,
No.
they cannot.
No.
Mm-mm.
Because
it's
in the
not
state of
structured
Texas,
that
you're
way.
legally
Yes.
qualified as a type of private school.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. One of my pros was sorry, I'm so distracted tonight. Let me first let me say hi to everybody that's watching. Angela, hello,
What's up, Angela?
Dad's fiance, Aunt Sherry, and Sherry works in my Aunt Sherry works in the public schools system in Arlington, and she says, do your homework. I know how things work in a public school setting. It's not what it's cracked up to be. I see public school as a thing of the past. So very sad.
Same.
True.
Yeah,
I
it
think
really
so. I
is.
agree
And
with
then
her on that.
Philip is watching. What's up, Philip? Or Felipe, whatever you want to be today.
Felipe.
Neighbor, he's hysterical. But yeah, truly, I think one of the biggest homeschooling pros that I came around to was choosing your program, choosing your subject, and really really getting to choose the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved that.
Yeah.
I've loved being flexible. And I know that because I don't work a full-time job, I know
Right.
that's a huge
Right. Yeah.
thing. Like that's a big weight for
Mhm.
parents. But yeah, choosing what they learn versus forcing them to learn what society says.
Yeah.
That's been a huge thing for us.
It has. And another thing that I get all the time is people are like, oh, well, how do you socialize your kids?
Oh, that's the number
I'm
one,
like,
girl. That's the
Okay,
number one.
first of all, how do you socialize in public school? Because I got told to be quiet all the time.
Yes.
We're going to move your seat because you won't stop talking.
I knew it.
Sorry to
I
break it
knew
to you.
that was going to be it about
That's
you.
not going to solve the problem. And it
Mm-mm.
didn't. Like always in citizenship, like I got marks on my report cards.
All my
because I
report cards, ins and U's,
Yeah.
talks. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm
So
a
like
social butterfly.
that's what
Yeah.
school you get lunch and recess to talk and
That's it.
yak it up with your friends in the classroom. They don't want you doing that.
And I could see that being like a real problem like 15 years ago or so, but now with all the social media, the way that kids can connect even just through gaming and
Yeah.
other extracurricular
yeah.
activities that are not attached to schools.
Right.
Like there's tons of ways for
Yeah.
them to interact and get that social
Yeah,
activity.
for
So,
sure.
And I will say one thing that makes me mad, and I'm going to say this is a con to homeschooling,
Sure.
is like you find that one person in the family or whatever that's not on board with it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they want to start quizzing your kids.
Yes,
No.
they do.
Like,
Oh,
would you start quizzing my kid if he was in
girl.
public school? Like,
Girl.
what are you doing?
Yes.
Don't quiz my child.
Don't quiz my child.
You
Don't.
You don't have to answer.
And I've told, and
no,
I,
that one's not programmed. He doesn't.
Yeah.
he,
It's not
he hasn't
there
got the
yet.
script.
well,
sorry.
and I've told, I have had private conversations, and I don't even care who knows it, but I've had private conversations with Caden and Anderson. And I'm like, when you're around other kids your age or whoever, whatever, public, I don't care. When they ask what grade you're in, tell them your perspective grade. It doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
and or you can say it doesn't matter, because it really, really doesn't. And I know
Yeah.
like society is like, oh, well, he's 15, so he should be in 10th, 11th, or whatever grade. It okay to you, it
Yeah.
matters, but not to me.
No, and that's one of the good things too about homeschooling is that if they need to slow down because they're not
Yes.
grasping something, like
Yes.
because I went through school and I kind of got pushed along with the crowd,
Mhm.
and it
Yes.
was just my
Ugh,
mom went round and
me
round
too.
with the standardized testing that we had to do.
Yeah.
She knew I needed a tutor before I took this test. The only reason why they got me a tutor is because I did so poorly on the test that it made the school
Right.
bring the school
right.
grades down.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, well, we're going to put her in tutoring. My mom was like, the fuck you are. Like, we asked you to do this months ago.
Right.
She ain't doing it now.
Too late
No.
now.
No, and
Should've
we
listened a long time ago.
experienced that with Caden. Caden, kinder to first grade. Kinder, he was at the top of the board,
Yeah.
like excelling, doing all these things. Well, and I don't want to like call the teacher out. I'm not going to say her name, but she got pregnant, and that became a distraction. And
Okay.
so Caden became he got kind of pushed to the side.
It's easy, I think, for kids to get kind of lost in the shuffle when
Yes.
nowadays like classrooms are so huge. There's
Mhm,
20,
mhm.
25 kids in each class.
Yeah.
For this one teacher. And I'm like, that is so many kids.
So many.
Like, I don't remember our classes being that big. Maybe like one or two if it was
I
like
can't
a
remember.
popular elective.
Yeah.
But never in elementary school were
Yeah.
they that big. Like, I think the most we ever had in a class was like 18. And still, I still think that's a lot.
Yeah, I was
but-
thinking we had about 20. So, but yeah, it's like he got kind of pushed off in the shuffle, and then because he couldn't catch up or because there was not enough resources, it got to a point where they're like, well, he needs to be on that 50, what is it, 504, 503, 50 something,
Switzerland, I
Yeah.
forgot, something
whatever
like
it
that.
is,
Yeah.
whatever that thing is. And then they kept like pinning it back on us, and they were like, well, he's not catching on. He's got issues, or he needs to go to the doctor. And basically we put our kid
No.
through hell by putting
Yeah.
him on medication, and then trying this, trying that, chiropractors, oils,
Yeah.
diet change, no dyes, and which I do
Yeah.
agree with some of that, but it's like, God, we just went around and around and
Yeah.
around, and it wasn't.
And he just needed more time.
He just needed
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
time, and that's the best thing.
And that's,
Yeah.
one thing I love about homeschool is that we can slow down.
Yes.
And we can dive into.
Oh, thank you, Aunt Mimi
know,
Sherry. 504. 504
Yeah.
Yeah.
is the little, the
Yeah,
helper.
he didn't
Yeah.
fit into the little cookie cutter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
well
With
said.
homeschool, you're making your own cookie
Yeah.
cutter.
Yeah.
Like, you're
We don't have
designing
cookie
it,
cutter.
so-
We're just rolling it out.
Yeah.
Now,
freestyle cookies.
Yeah.
this isn't like off topic, but I did this past year when I was thinking through, and I know I told you this, when I
Mhm.
was thinking through the homeschooling with Caden and Anderson, I had watched this whole video about a school in Idaho or Iowa. I'm going to
Okay.
mess it up, but it's a school that is student driven. It is a
Mhm.
school that the students run the school.
So that's basically what unschooling is.
Yes.
And what that is, unschooling is it's child led. It
Mhm.
does not use a curriculum or textbooks. It allows the children to learn from their interests and
I love
passions.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
that just gave me goosebumps. I love that.
So, and I feel like
because you're putting the power back in
you
the kids.
can, but I mean, there are requirements. I will say Texas is one of the easiest states to homeschool in. We don't have to report anything to the
Right.
state. We have to teach them the 5
Core-
basic subjects.
Yes.
Reading, spelling, grammar, math, and good citizenship, which is basically like a civics course, which you usually take senior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
Or like they gave examples like the Pledge of Allegiance, like that qualifies.
Okay,
Like,
I feel really
you
dumb
know?
because I thought citizenship was like showing up every day.
Well,
that's
that's
a
because you
different
went to public school.
That's a
That's because we went to
You're
public
right.
should
school.
have been homeschooled.
We
and you
should have
would
been
know this
homeschooled
stuff.
and we would have known that.
I'd be
And
better
there's
educated.
not a minimum requirement of hours that
Hmm.
you have to homeschool your kids.
Okay.
So that's I know that there's some states where you have to keep like very detailed records and test scores and
Right.
turn it all over to the state and attendance, and you have
Oh,
to do 180 days.
That's going to break me out in hives just thinking about
Texas is very relaxed. It is very much in the
Yeah.
parents' hands, even when it comes to graduating your children from homeschool.
it. Really?
It's in the parents' hands. Yeah, I wrote a whole thing about it. So, we're legally classified as a type of private school under the Texas Education Code. The parent, as the administrator of the homeschool private school, is responsible for determining when his or her student has met the academic requirements for graduation. There is no minimum age requirement for graduation.
Nice.
So, and you can and should, construct a transcript for your homeschool kid and a
Right.
diploma. And you
Wow.
can get templates off of the Texas Homeschool Coalition website.
Wow.
So, and I'll be sure to tag
Oh
that in
yeah,
here.
we'll add all the things, and I will say, so I went into my research a little bit differently, or I stumbled upon different things. So the National Home Education Research Institute, mouthful,
Yeah.
they put out some of their statistics, and so in 2019, 2.5 million students were homeschooled. Within 2 years, it increased, obviously, because of COVID. I feel like I didn't
Yeah.
say that, but I'm going to probably direct it that way because
Mhm.
it increased by 600,000 over the next 2 years, putting it at 3.1 million roughly. 3.1 million students were homeschooled. Guess how much money that saved us
Is this in the
taxpayers?
US?
Yes. Guess how much money that saved?
Millions.
$51 billion
Wow.
for taxpayers.
Wow.
Like that is
That's a whole
that's
nother
crazy.
show, though. When I say saved,
That
because
is,
was
yeah.
it returned to the taxpayer?
No,
No,
Okay.
because
No.
we still
Right.
have
Because
to
we're
pay
so
our
in
we
debt.
still have to
So-
pay our property taxes
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
school and stuff. There's
Yeah.
not a tax break for that.
But I
Yeah,
see where
no.
you're going. Like,
But like
hey, it was a
Yeah.
reduction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
homeschooling
Spending schools.
average, the each per child was spent $600. Now, I know that's probably just on curriculum. That's not on field trips and experiments and
Yeah.
all the other things because they don't include that. But yeah, and then they said these scores, 15 to 25%, they were scoring above public school systems, and 87% reviewed showed that homeschool students perform significantly better on social, emotional, and psychological levels. And I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
here I was like fearing that what I was doing for my kids was going to dumb them down. And it's the opposite.
Well, something that I read says the average American mom, now I don't know if this is a working mom or stay-at-home mom, whatever, roughly spends 13 and a half hours a week with her children.
like total.
These are kids that are in public school.
Oh,
they're
that's,
That's
that's
gotta
not
be
very
the
much.
working
They're
mom.
roughly
Well,
spending 13 and a half hours with their children.
It doesn't
It's
have to be the working mom.
It
gotta
doesn't
be.
have to be the working mom because the kids are at school 8 hours a day.
Yeah, if you're going to public schools,
Oh.
yeah.
And the average American homeschool mom spends roughly 77 hours a week with her children.
Whoa, we need a
Wow.
break. Holy
that just when
crap.
I read that, I was like, oh, mind
So
blown.
with-
Because I had the
So
same train of thought. Like,
Y'all
is
should
that the
have
working
paid
mom?
vacations
That's what I'm saying.
from the
We-
state.
with this
should.
51
The
billion
state-
of taxpayer dollars,
Yeah.
where's the homeschool mama vacation like a
Yeah.
cruise ship?
Yeah. Throw all the homeschool moms on a boat.
Just saying.
That's incredible numbers. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's what I got to thinking too. I was like, I don't know if this is the working mom. I was like, but
Yeah.
even if it's the working mom, she's going to be at work when the kids are at school. So, you know, it's the kids are getting home at what,
Yeah.
3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, bedtime. I'm assuming
it's
for
like
most people
Yeah.
are
Homework, dinner,
o'clock.
bath, done.
You know,
like there's
yeah.
no time to like watch a movie.
Yeah.
Like I get to watch. We use movies for freaking school sometimes.
The kids and Brandon were watching The Good, Bad, and the Ugly today.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
oh,
Great
Shane found the theme
episode.
song to it and was like, I like this.
See,
And Brandon was like, there's a whole movie
There's
about
so
it. He was
much
like,
ed-
Can
I
we
don't know
watch
where that
it?
falls in
Oh my
history or
Yeah.
I don't know. but
Clint
It's-
Eastwood.
I
it's
just
an
know
excellent class to take.
after
right there.
reading those statistics,
Yeah.
it literally
For-
like you could see the physical weight come off of my
Like,
shoulders.
oh.
Like I felt better.
Well, and I feel like homeschool's so more mainstream these days than it
Yeah.
was when we were kids. Because when we were kids, there was always like that one weird homeschool
Yeah,
kid.
well,
Like,
you were
oh, like-
homeschooled.
Yeah, like that was the stigma of it.
It was.
And like,
What's wrong with
oh, that's the homeschool kid right there. Like,
I know, and
you know,
now
and now I'm like,
now,
oh, you're
ew,
homeschool too.
that's
Yay.
the public school kids.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, those kids go to public school.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
crazy.
something interesting about that, I wanted to say, there's more and more school systems moving to a 4-day school week.
Josh,
Oh,
I
I've
think-
got
Yeah.
lots of stuff about that. We'll talk about
Okay,
that when we
awesome.
come
Yeah,
back.
we are coming up on break. You guys get a refill. Tell us what you're drinking. We've got so much more to
So much
spill. And
more.
please share this. Bring your opinions. We want to hear it all. So we'll be right back in a minute
In a minute.
after I drink my tea.
You know, wherever you go.
Are you ready for this?
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
1, 2, 3, now we're playing with the big boys. Gonna take it to the street, now we're gonna make a big noise. Gonna climb so high, now we're rising up. Are you ready now? Turn it up.
All right.
Welcome
Ooh,
back.
You got some crusties in my.
I know
love
my
it.
little tea bag busted open
That's
in there, and
all right,
we're
it's
down to
okay.
the nitty gritty.
It's all right. every once in a while, a busted tea bag happens.
It
It
spilled on
happens.
its own.
Well, before we dive back in,
Do you have some reality for
I
me?
have some reality. So, I sucked Clint into some reality.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, Clint, what are you watching?
Tell him what we're watching.
I don't even remember the name.
He does.
The
Don't
Deal
fail
or
me.
No Deal
Island.
Okay,
Yes.
that's not as bad as
It's not as bad.
I thought it was going to be
She
like the
didn't
get in-
Vanderpump
yeah.
Rules or like
It
the
wasn't
Real
that
Housewives.
deep.
No, I turned on
Y'all don't get worried
Vanderpump
out there.
and he
Don't
was
get too
like,
worried.
please don't make me watch
Yeah,
Vanderpump.
try
This
to-
is such a girl show. It's a girl. And I'm like, whatever. It's awesome. So yes, he's caught up. We're very caught up on the Deal or No Deal
Good.
Island. It has been hyper. Boston Rob is still went. He is.
Okay.
I'm telling
I
you,
love Boston Rob.
he is
He's pretty
a
cool, yeah.
mastermind.
He is the
He-
way that his mind works. Like even
Look.
watching him, like he's done seasons
Yeah.
of Survivor. Like for watching him from his
Yeah.
first
Okay.
season, he went down to the last.
Oh
It was him and his now wife,
yeah.
and she won. And then he came back a second time, and he got voted out.
His
and then like the third
psychology-
time he played, he like
He
some of the people
called-
on the
oh
other
my
tribes were
gosh.
like, it's like a cult. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yes.
got them so. And I was like, he's a genius.
He is a genius.
Like,
And
Like,
when
if
I
was
learned to
tell
play the
you,
part of
games,
his
right?
tribe, and then I got voted off.
Yeah.
I'd be like, he did it. I would vote for him.
his
like,
psychology on one of the games, guys, he was calling out each player. He was like,
yeah,
well, this player looked at this and then he looked at this and now I know this is the one. And he was
he
like,
pays attention.
oh my
yeah.
gosh, he blew my mind. And
he
then
is a smart guy.
the sweet little young kid, Aaron, he's got a little bit of a speech impediment. I forget what disability he has, but he had to walk off stage on the very last episode because he was so like stressed out with
Oh,
anxiety because his
no.
very like closest person got kicked off and he was like, I can't. And he walked off crying and I was like,
Oh,
Well, it got
wasn't
pretty
it?
tense.
It
yeah,
did
Yeah.
because this one girl,
I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm still trying to catch up
she-
on Survivor.
ugh.
I am in season 45 now, so
I
Okay.
I'm
watched
almost
Survivor
there.
too.
well, there's a new season out, but we don't have Paramount, so I can't watch it.
You're gonna have to.
I know.
So are you talking about season 46?
Yes,
Okay.
the newest one.
So as soon as I
Okay.
finish 45, you can just come over to my house and we can watch it.
I
Survivor Party.
But Deal or No Deal
Surprise.
Island, it is really good. I'm getting more and more into
Okay.
it. I'm vibing with it.
Right.
And then on Vanderpump, yes, Katie, which has been on there from day one.
Mhm.
I didn't really know she swung both ways.
Okay.
And she basically sat at a table with her ex-husband because they're recently divorced.
Okay.
He was flirting with a girl and she
She
totally
was
robbed
flirting
it.
too.
She robbed it. Like she stole her out from underneath her. And I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming.
Okay.
So that's been kind of crazy. I'm waiting for Bachelorette to come out. I'm waiting to watch the new Survivor.
Okay.
So there's all these things. So yeah, that's for now the reality. Trying to think what else is out right now. The Valley, which is part of the Vanderpump
Oh yeah.
idea. That's a lot of drama, a lot of like 40-year-olds living in suburban, living their classy life. Lots of drama there, lots of pregnant stuff going on, lots of
Okay.
marriage issues going on. And then the other one that Lisa Vanderpump came out with was called The Villas, I think,
Yes, because I've seen
where
a
they
promo
work
for
the
that.
hotel.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of young 20 so that's like her new young 20, 25-year-old
Mhm.
drama. And there's lots to that. This one guy, I will have to say, that there's a guy on there that is he thinks he's the manager. He
There's
basically
always one.
but Lisa Vanderpump is the queen of party planning.
Yeah.
Like she knows all the things.
Yeah.
And he basically took what she had planned for the guest lunch
Mhm.
and he changed it. And I was like, you don't mess with the OG
Whoa.
Lisa Vanderpump.
All
Like you don't mess with her.
right.
And then he did, and he's gonna get fired. I just know it. I'm just foreshadowing that. But yeah. Oh, Kathy says until Bachelorette comes out, the only reality TV I watch is The Price is
Well,
Right.
come on down.
Yeah,
I
I'll
love
watch
The
that.
Price is Right.
But wait, the last of my reality, we gotta pay homage.
Is it homage or homage?
I don't know. Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It just sounded weird when you
I
said
don't
it.
have a
but you might be
dictionary.
right?
Homage.
Is it?
Homage.
That's what it kind of sounded like. when you said
To
it.
who died today?
O.J. Simpson.
I'm sorry.
But that was a weird
Somebody said
segue. Into
he
that.
died, so he must not have done it. I was like, that is so wrong. That's so
It's
wrong.
just-
It's so
I
funny.
just-
It's too early for those jokes.
I'm only laughing because it was just random that you brought that up. Like,
well,
I mean, so I will say that the O.J. Simpson trials were like a reality
TV
TV
show.
it really
If you
was
watched
because
them
it was
back
on
in the
for a
90s,
while.
oh,
do you
yeah.
know how long that was? Do you
It was
realize?
No.
weeks. My mother
Was it?
watched it.
Was it-
No. Longer than that.
How
Was
long
it?
was
I
it?
don't
Yes, I
remember.
want people to guess. Let's
You want people to guess how
Yeah.
long was the O.J. Simpson trial?
Yeah.
Because
And-
it was what on like Court TV or
Oh, it
something.
was.
or
Yeah, it was
something.
on
It was
every day.
everywhere.
Wait,
every
If
day
we're
it
just
was
talking
on.
about the chase was at least
No,
what, a
no,
week
no,
long?
no.
No, I'm not talking about the
The
car. I'm
trial.
not talking about the car. Right? I'm talking about the actual trial, the murder trial.
I have no idea how long it was. I know it was on for a while. It was on. It was on longer than Johnny Depp and Amber
Oh,
Heard.
yeah,
It was
for
longer
sure.
than that.
I'm pretty sure this was the longest trial.
Oh yeah, Katie says Robert Kardashian before he
Was his
died was
attorney.
his attorney.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
king of the Kardashians?
Yeah, it was 9 months.
No.
9 months. Yeah.
9? I don't remember it being that
Wow.
long. I remember my mom being very into
It
it
was
and watching
very
it.
long. It was
Kathy
very
McKeever
long.
says, wasn't it like
9
11 months? Clint
That's
says 9 months.
When I read
That's a
today,
long.
it was 9
9
months.
months.
Yeah, I didn't realize that because
That's how long it takes
It was
to
back in
grow
the
a
90s.
baby.
So someone could have had a baby during the chase.
Yeah.
right.
Like, what? That's a long time.
Who was getting pregnant while
I can't
OJ
imagine
was
being
on the
that
road?
jury.
no?
Like,
Yeah, that
because I'm
that
pretty sure where they
was
have to be like
crazy.
if they were
Sequestered,
sequestered,
yeah.
9
I
months.
guarantee
Like,
you they
oh
had to be.
my, because it was such a high profile
was.
case at its time.
Oh, it was big. It was a
Whoa.
big deal.
Whoa.
So yeah, God rest R.I.P. O.J. Simpson. At least it's not,
Okay.
that's a big deal.
It is.
Is
I know.
it?
I keep watching Instagram for Bruce Willis because it's
coming.
it's
so
it's
sad.
stressing me out.
Okay, we'll have to have a whole show
I'm
on
not getting
Anyways,
younger, so
That is our little reality.
Well, thanks for
So-
spilling.
Yes. Okay, so let's get back to this like homeschool, public school talk.
Yeah. So Clint said right before we went on break that there's some school districts going to a 4-day week.
There's been a big
There's a
talk
huge
about it.
yes. And I know Joshua ISD is going to a 4-day school week. So
Yes.
they will have off Saturday, Sundays, and Mondays.
Oh, it's not a Friday? through
No,
Sunday? It's
it is a
Monday?
Monday.
Ooh, I kinda
So
like that
This is
better.
what I
Yeah.
pulled off from the Joshua ISD website.
Okay.
So they state that it's a hiring advantage
Mhm.
because it's
daycares?
going to provide students and staff with additional days throughout the year to attend their extracurricular attendance, personal appointments, etc. Hopefully limiting the amount of substitutes needed because they've been struggling to get substitutes in right now.
That's sad.
Yeah. It will lengthen the school day
Oh, I did not hear
by
that.
25 minutes a day, which you think, okay, 25 minutes. That's,
Yeah.
but so elementary schools will be going from 7:30 to 3:30.
Okay.
Secondary schools, middle and high school will be 8:15 to 4:15.
Okay.
And if you think about school pickup,
Okay.
like that can
That's-
be a nightmare.
It
One of
can
the
be.
worst things I do is get off of work at 2:30 and have to drive through all of
The
the
school
school zones.
You should
traffic,
count that
school
someday. You
zones.
should count how many school zones you go through. I'd love to know that.
I don't know,
That's
but it
gotta
takes
be
forever.
rough.
It's
Yeah,
horrible.
because they slow you
And-
way down.
Can I just admit
I
something
work
really,
late
really
to
dumb?
avoid that on purpose.
You said
I
20.
would.
You said 25 minutes. I'm like, well, 4 quarters. That's an hour.
Oh, God. Such a
I'm on
dork.
it. Okay.
But I mean, think about it. So like
But wow.
I
okay.
remember when my oldest was playing baseball and he was in 3rd grade. I think that was the last year we public schooled. And he was in baseball.
Mhm.
We'd get home from school pickup. His school let out at 3:10. We would get home at like 3:40.
Yeah.
I mean, we lived
about right.
fairly close to school, so I didn't go until the bell rang. So I could just
Yeah.
kind of, but still, we'd have to get home, eat, and then go straight to baseball practice.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
if we had a game, and for some reason that season he had every single late game that didn't start until 7:45. Games were an hour and a half. Like I would have to text his teacher, like,
Oh, wow.
we had a late game. Like, I'm sorry, he's gonna
That's
be tired.
crazy.
You know, like it's just
So do you think the 4-day school day is going to cause sports more problems?
well, so the Mondays that they will be off, Joshua ISD will provide a childcare option that is similar to their summer camp program
Okay.
for a small cost to the parents.
Well, I know they have
That's
the
good.
after school programs.
Right. That's a little different though.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a late pickup option from what I understood of it. I might
Wait,
be
so are
wrong
they
on
going to
that.
extend the after school program?
Well, they're
I
gonna have
don't
to.
they're
a
gonna
little bit.
have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
Oh,
does that
you
mean
know.
okay, I'm just
Well,
throwing
maybe
this out
not. I
there.
mean, if parents
If
are
they
generally picking them up.
extend the after school program and you get off early, does that mean you can go on a date? Like,
No.
go. Dang it.
I mean,
That
you
doesn't
can pick
apply
up
to
your
us anyway.
kid.
You
It
gotta
really
go pick up
doesn't.
You
your
have
kid.
it for an hour. You can do whatever you want for the hour.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just
Okay.
some people were really excited about it. Some people were not. Like it was like, no, there wasn't really too many like, meh, I don't care. It was either yes or no on
Yeah.
it. And there was like very little in
In between.
between.
Mm.
And I for one, I have my own opinions about public school. I think a lot of people treat them like a daycare. Like it's
Right.
a
True.
free daycare
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they're
you're already
learning.
paying for it.
You know,
Paying
yeah.
taxes. for it,
Right.
so, yeah.
So that's how I feel personally. This is all my own opinion.
No, I
you
think
know,
that's
that's how people are treating this.
consensus.
And they're like, well, are we going to have to pay for daycare on the days
Yeah.
that they don't go to school? And because I mean, I know daycare in itself is expensive.
It is, but they don't even have daycare for like,
You hit a certain age and
and
it's,
you don't.
you're done.
There's no daycare.
Yeah.
And then it's like here's where that line is. It's like, okay, so you don't have daycare for up to a certain age. So, but then the law says you can't leave your kids home at a certain age. So like, where's
There's
that?
not a law against that.
Yeah.
I thought there was.
No.
Oh, I thought there was.
If you feel comfortable,
If you
leaving
feel
your kid at
comfortable and
home,
you feel like your child is mature enough to
Oh.
be home alone at 7 or 8 years old
Okay.
and has a way to contact the
I did not
911
know
or
that.
you,
no,
I thought
It's
it was some
fine.
sort of like child negligence.
No.
well, no, that doesn't mean that you may not
That
be caught
doesn't
up in a case where you were negligent.
right.
Like,
Right.
There's
okay.
a difference than leaving your child at the store and running, or leaving in not at the store,
Leave
I
your
mean,
kid at the
hey.
store.
leaving them at home to run to the grocery store and back,
Right.
or leaving them to go and take a day trip
Gotcha.
somewhere, or
well, that and the conditions.
there's
and things like
home
that,
conditions.
Okay.
A lot of that has to do, but there is not a law that says a certain age you can't leave your children at home alone
Okay,
until
I've been
they are
educated today.
XYZ.
I
Yeah,
love that. Okay. Well, that's crazy. I mean,
it is.
that's crazy. So, in regards to like public schools, a lot of people, the pros are basically free.
yeah.
Even though your school supplies are not free and you have to pay for lunch. And God forbid you have one of those freaking turd kids that like to go buy 25 cookies for everybody else and run down their school lunch program for
Yeah.
whatever. A lot of people say transportation is provided, which yes, there are public, buses and
But you have to live a certain distance away from your school to be
Mhm.
able to ride the bus.
yeah, that definitely is for straight up public state schools. That is not for private schools,
Yeah.
Christian schools,
No, I
all
don't,
of
I
that
don't know
stuff.
how all that works.
A lot of people say the pros of public are certified teachers, which fine, I'm not certified. That's you
Mhm.
got me there. And then there are pros in regards to the special education because that part is free to
There is, but there is a lot of those same resources are available to you
Yes.
as a homeschool
Yes.
parent that I did find on the
Yes.
Texas Homeschool Coalition website.
And I don't like this pro, just me personally. It says serves the community. And I'm like,
how is public
I
school
don't
serving the
really see
community?
how public schools serve the community when
I don't know.
I couldn't figure that out. Like, and I tried to, and then the other pro is more diversity, bringing your kids around other opinions, other lifestyles, but that's a 50-50 in itself because you can, yes, but then there's a school in some other state that is allowing their child to go to public school and their kid identifies as a cat and wants to meow. And they're debating
whole
asking
thing.
the school to
Yeah.
put a freaking litter box in. No. board your kid,
Delusional.
board
you
your
ask me.
freaking kid.
Yeah.
I'm not going to respond to your child. And I would
Yeah.
never want my child to, well, he's my friend, so I have to meow him. No, no,
No,
no, no,
you
no, no,
don't.
no, no.
We are people.
We are not.
That's
And
the
I'm
most
sorry.
diverse school
Speak
ever.
people.
If I'm
Yeah.
hurting people's feelings, so sorry. I have my own opinion. I will respect your way of family living, but it doesn't mean I am
Yeah.
going to fully support it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the pros, a lot of the pros that I heard
Yeah.
as far as that's concerned. And then the homeschooling bad for public school systems, less funding. Yes, the more kids that homeschool, the less funding teachers get. And yes, I hate that for teachers. Obviously,
Yeah,
I never
but
want to
I
take
feel
money
like
from a teacher.
when it
but
comes to your child's education, you got to be
you
selfish
do have to
about
be
it,
selfish.
and you have to figure out if public school, private school, or homeschooling, whatever way you decide to do it, is best for
Yeah.
your child and your family.
Kathy says a litter box. Oh hell no! I agree. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let my kid meow,
Yeah.
and I don't know how a kid can learn by just meowing. How do you meow the alphabet?
I don't know.
I think it was just a teacher wanting to get her cat litter paid for by the school system. I don't think that's real. I'm not sold on that.
Oh well,
Yeah.
my kid identifies as a wine barrel. Fill her up.
Yeah.
Good grief. But yeah, and then it's for public school systems, a lack of regulation, education quality, no guarantee that every homeschooled student is getting well-rounded education. I know a big thing was there's a small percentage of homeschool students that have experienced abuse because parents, you're going to experience abuse in a public school system, in a homeschool system, in a no school system. I mean, there's just those human beings out there that abuse children, and that's not an argument in regards to homeschool versus public school. That is just people, crappy people.
Yeah.
And then the impact on democracy, which is what we were saying, may hinder children's ability to engage in a democratic society, limit exposure to different perspectives and values.
I think that has a lot to do with how and what you're teaching your kids. You can teach them the way the world works. That's I think the most things that kids need. You need to know, I when it comes to college, I have my own opinions on that. Do I think my kids should go to college? No.
Neither do we. We're on the same page.
I am A-okay with them not going to college. I would much rather them go to a trade school or start their own business, have something like that, because there's all these people right now who have mountains of student loan debt.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, you look at, and I'll reference Mike Rowe right now. He will give you all the statistics on the shortages in the trade jobs across America, and it's growing exponentially every year.
Yeah.
Like every person that retires, there's not one replacing them.
Yeah.
And without the tradesmen, we don't have a world.
No,
we do not have a functioning world. And so
I mean, what
it's
would
an
we
important
would
place
have
to-
no plumbers, no HVACs, no
this
you know.
radio show would not be possible.
Right.
correct.
It would
You're
not be possible,
absolutely
so-
correct.
But
It's-
when it comes to
it's really
the
interesting.
democratic and the things, and I remember the kids when we were going back through the voting thing and the Trump versus Biden and all of this, back in what was it, 2020 or whatever, or even before that, he had questions about well, what is this that you're talking about, or what is that?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, well, let's find a way to explain it to
Yeah.
a lower elementary.
Yeah.
So I think you can teach your children that type of things. And I think you
Yeah.
should. I do not think the school should be responsible for teaching my children.
No, there's
Democrat,
certain
Republican,
things
Libertarian,
that,
whatever. That's,
but I do, but not in opposition of that, but I would say what is missing, and I looked back. So I have this book of my.
I'm sorry. I'm agreeing with something that my husband texted me.
Oh no, you're right.
He doesn't do the Facebook, so he texts me as he
No,
listens
totally
on the
fine.
app.
What I miss or what I see that used to be in the school systems that isn't are more life skills.
Yes.
And I hate that's where it's
Did you take a home eco? Blah, blah, blah.
I had
talk.
what was it?
A home economics class?
Family and life skills or
Oh, yeah.
something.
Okay.
Family development, something
I
like
took
that.
family development. Yep, I took
But they
that.
don't do like there's no trade in schools anymore, so there's not sewing. There's still
Do they still have
mechanics, isn't there?
shop
Auto
class and
shop.
stuff?
Well, I hope so. I don't know. I don't go, and my kids
Oh, yeah, I
don't go,
forgot.
so I really can't look at
That's
the
true.
options
But
available.
they
I
don't
think there
have
are, but
there's FFA, but there's what is it?
4-H.
4-H, but then what's the
Which you
military
can
one?
4-H as a
What's the
homeschool.
military
like
one?
ROTC.
ROTC.
There's still that. That's still a thing.
But there's not.
You can do that through
There's
homeschool
not
too.
sewing. There's not baking. There's not like.
Well, and like I remember as math is not my strong.
Ugh, me either.
I'm even struggling. through
Letters and
5th grade
numbers
math
do not
again.
belong together.
Yes, and that's where we are at with my oldest, and we're
Mhm.
starting to do algebra, and there's letters and numbers, and sometimes I have to watch the video a couple of times to
Oh, yeah.
comprehend it. But like I got to a point in math where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So
Yeah.
they sent me back to the dumb math class. the stuff that I could grasp, without
Yes.
the letters. And then I didn't have to do math my senior year because I opted to take a real life math course. They taught me how to file my taxes and how to balance a checkbook.
Where is that class?
Why is that not a thing?
Why is that
and there
not
was
a
only
thing?
there was only one
Yeah.
class, and we were it.
We had
Yes.
that in our bad, whatever y'all called it earlier, the bad people school, the pregnant
The
school.
pregnant lady
all us pregnant people over
Just
there.
call it the alternative
We were
school.
learning all that stuff. So
See, they
So-
didn't.
that was more life skill.
My husband
focused
was talking
there.
about indoctrination is what
Oh yeah.
with back in the thing, and
Oh.
he said they're all propagandists and they want to access your children. They want extra 60 hours with your kid when you only get 13. Like
Yeah, and that's something that people don't
Oh,
realize when you're
that's
sending your kid to a
so
public
true.
school. You're handing them over
and
to
I
the
think
state.
yes, a
And-
lot of people
and
are not digging into
it's-
what is being taught.
Yeah.
And I know the state of Texas is going to one curriculum across the board.
Mm.
So if you move from, Dallas ISD out to
It's all the
El
same?
Paso, it will be the same thing. But as you dig further and further and further into
Yeah.
what this curriculum is, you will be shocked at some of the stuff that they
Oh, I
find,
believe
or
it. Yeah.
the companies, who are coming up with it, what their beliefs and stuff are. And I just want no part of it.
Yeah, I would say anyone that is like looking into that or learning things about that, do your research and really learn what the curriculum is and what the core basis is, because like I know for a long time they were trying to change up math and change up the styles to reach the one kid that learned differently, that math differently. And you can't do that. You can't teach the one kid. You have to teach them all. And you have to find a way that really reaches them all. Sherry says there has to be major support from the home. If not, it won't matter. Whether it's public or home school, without that support, they will not succeed. And that's
And
Right.
that's true. I mean, a lot
Absolutely.
of
So
families
true.
want to send their kids to public school, and then they don't want to do anything as far
Mhm.
as homework or any type of
Yeah.
blending
Mhm.
those two lives
Yeah.
together. They're like, well, you've been there 8 hours. Why do I?
I also
to do
have a
anything?
problem
Like,
with homework. With kids being
Yeah.
at school at 8 hours a day. And then I
Yeah.
remember in high school coming home and having 3 hours worth of homework after I've
Right.
been at
You shouldn't
basketball
have to.
practice for an hour and a half
Yeah.
or 2 hours. I'm not getting in bed until 10, and I got to be up at the ass crack of dawn to go back to school
Yeah.
and do it all over again.
Yeah, and because of that, we're seeing the gap where we were in school. You're seeing
Mhm.
that big gap between the relationship between parents and kids. You're not
Mhm.
seeing that good connection, and that's
Mhm.
where you're seeing kids. And I hate to be pointed about it, but that's where you're seeing your kids not communicating with what's happening at school, and that's where you're seeing suicides, and that's where you're seeing failure, and
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah,
that
it definitely
stuff.
feeds
And it's
into it.
it's really hard.
Yeah.
And I do love, and I do want to throw a shout out. We had been posting earlier this week in regards to y'all's opinions, and please keep sharing them. But our friend Heather, that we know from our mom's group, gosh, go read her comments.
She had some amazing pros and cons for both
for
homeschool
both
and public
sides,
school.
and she made really good points on both ends.
Yes.
I don't have the
She
time to
had
go into all of it.
amazing responses.
But
So
if
Heather,
you want
thank you.
yes, thank you so much. We want a good, healthy pro con on both sides
Yeah.
of the fence. And I just appreciate her being very thorough in that so
Yes.
much. And you guys ask us questions. We're both from, and there's
Yeah.
tons of resources out there, guys. There are co-ops for homeschooling. If you ever hear the big word of socialization, it's
There's
out there.
There's so many places that do
Yes.
offer homeschool days. Like we go to Arlington every other Friday to
Yes.
rock climb. They offer, you know, a homeschool discount every
Tons.
Friday to indoor rock climb.
Yes.
Russell Farms here locally has homeschool classes. And we're talking real life skills, woodworking. They have art. They
Yes.
have
Cooking,
farm
where the-
life,
Yes.
cooking, all sorts of things.
You can get your kids rolls of their own knives and be chefs. Like that is the coolest thing. So there's tons of resources out there. But
Yes.
guys, we're almost done.
We are.
Gosh, thank y'all so much for listening.
Yes.
We can't wait to talk to you guys next week. We have no idea what we're talking about,
No
but
clue.
you know, we'll come
Clint,
up with
thanks for joining us today.
Hey, I'm
Thanks
here.
for
You were
I made it,
reluctant
I
at
Thanks
first,
for
but
being
you had
our
some good
alternative
points.
school survivor. And I dropped my book. But guys, we'll see you next week. Hey,
Yes.
and no matter what is in your cup, guys, don't forget,
Sip it, spill it, and savor it.
love you guys.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County. Joco Community Radio.